Hello, dear children. Today we'll be going to discuss one of the most important parts that come in our functional grammar syllabus, that is the transformation of sentences. So we'll look what we have to discuss in transformation of sentences. So the first thing you'll have to know is that there are two types of sentences according to when we do this transformation of sentences. One is affirmative sentence and the next one is negative sentence. So an affirmative sentence. What is an affirmative sentence? It's nothing, it's really simple. An affirmative sentence, or rather a positive sentence, it means a sentence that affirms a proposition. That is, it confirms something or it affirms something. Whatever we say, it's told in a positive manner without the use of any negative terms in that sentence. For example, he is an intelligent student, or she is dancing, he is playing, they are crying. All these are affirmative sentences which doesn't have a negative term in the sentence. And coming to negative sentences, a negative sentence states something is not true or incorrect or presents a fact using negative words. That is, it negates the proposition. Okay, so for example, we say she doesn't like chocolates or he doesn't play, they don't want to go home. Such sentences can be considered as negative sentences as they are presenting a fact using negative words. And now, this is a basic concept we'll have to know while learning the transformation of sentences. So, what we'll be doing is transform a positive sentence or an affirmative sentence into a negative sentence and vice versa. The same in return also. Okay. So, for the first one, transformation, there are three types by which you could do this transformation. And the first one, it is using negative words with opposite adjectives. That is, for example, if we take an affirmative sentence, man is mortal, its negative form comes as man is not immortal. These both sentences convey the same meaning, but the first sentence is affirmative or a positive sentence, while the second sentence can be considered as a negative sentence as it contains the word not in it, which conveys a negative term. And also this mortal, in the first line we had used the term mortal, and this word or this adjective is used in its opposite sense in its second form, that is a negative form. That is, mortal changes to immortal, and along with the immortal, another word that conveys a negative sense is used, which gives this total, that is, in while reading the complete sentence, it gives a positive meaning to the sentence. That is, that meaning is not changed while the sentence is converted to a negative sentence. And in the same way, in the second example, the affirmative sentence is given, she is a strong woman. That means she is not a weak woman. Okay, in this case also we can see that the not is a negative term and it's used in the sentence to make the sentence negative, but we don't need to change the meaning of the sentence. So instead of the word strong, we have used the word weak, that is the opposite of strong. So not and weak comes together, which gives the same meaning as the affirmative sentence, but the sentence structure is negative. Okay, so this is the first technique you'll have to learn while learning about the transformation of sentences. And the second one is by the way of changing degrees of comparison. Okay, that is degrees of comparison. We had learned about the degrees of comparison in the last class. And if you remember, you might remember that we told there are three degrees of comparison: the positive degree, the comparative degree, and the superlative degree. The positive degree, as we said, is the base form of an adjective, and comparative degree, we use comparative degree while we compare two different forms, or about we compare two different things. And the superlative degree means the highest form of the adjective. So in the first sentence, we see he is as good as I am. That means I am good and he is as good as me. And while forming the negative sentence, we use the term not here. Not, we know it's a negative term, and I am not better than he is. That is, he and I are almost equally good. In the sense, there is the meaning is not changed, but yet Here, this good is a positive degree of comparison, while it changes into better, that is a comparative degree, while it changes into the negative form. But along with that, we use the negative term not, which doesn't change the meaning of the sentence but makes the sentence negative. And in the same manner, affirmative sentence. In the next example, the affirmative sentence is given as she is the best student, and this best, we know the best is an example for the superlative degree of comparison. And while turning into a negative sentence, we have altered the term best into a positive degree good. Okay, and also we have added the negative term no. No other student is as good as she is. So the meaning of the sentence is not changed, yet the sentence structure turns as negative. So these are the two ways of transformation, and the third way is it doesn't follow a particular rule, but you can change the sentences into negative according to its meaning. And the next one is the interchange of the degree of comparison. As we said, we transform sentences in the previous examples, but in the same manner, we interchange the degree of comparison as we told in the second form of transformation, second rule of transformation earlier. We change the degree of comparison to make the sentence negative. And even if the sentence is not made negative, we can alter the degrees of comparison to give the similar meaning of the sentence. So in the first one, it is possible to change the degree of comparison of an adjective in a sentence without changing the meaning of the sentence. Usually we use this positive degree, comparative degree and superlative degree to convey three different meanings to the sentence. But without changing the meaning of the sentence, you can also use these different types of degrees of comparison. That's what we are discussing here. So the first example, when we read the example, you'll have a much more greater understanding of the topic. So see the first example, the positive degree is used in the example. Some poets are at least as great as Tennyson. Some poets are at least as great as Tennyson. See here the word used is the adjective used is great. And you can see the meaning of the sentence. Some poets are at least as great as Tennyson. That is, there are other poets who are as great as Tennyson. Okay, Tennyson is not the only greatest poet. That is the meaning of the sentence. Okay, now we can see how the sentence is transformed into another sentence using a negative term, and also the other form of a degree of comparison, other degree of comparison, that is in the second sentence the sentence changes to Tennyson is not greater than some other poets. Tennyson is not greater than some other poets. That is, some other poets are equally great to Tennyson. No, Tennyson is not the only person who is a great poet. That's the meaning conveyed is the same, but we have used a negative not, and also along with that, the adjective, the positive degree of comparison great has changed to greater, the comparative degree greater in the second sentence. And while discussing about the third sentence, superlative degree is used, and also a negative form of the word negative form is used. Tennyson is not the greatest of all poets. That is, we can't say Tennyson is the greatest of all poets. That was the meaning of the first sentence, and that is the same meaning that is conveyed in the third sentence also. That is, Tennyson is not the greatest of all poets. Here the adjective greatest is the third degree or the superlative degree of comparison. So without changing the meaning of the sentence, you can alter the degrees of comparison to make different sentences with the same meaning. Okay. And in this sentence, we have used the negative terms, which you will not see in the next example. So we'll move on to the next example. You can see in this sentence, that is, the superlative degrees used in the first sentence. Chennai is one of the biggest of Indian cities. Okay, in this example, we can see that the term used is the adjective used is biggest, that is the superlative degree of comparison. Biggest, the most highest level, that is the biggest superlative degree of comparison is used. So Chennai is one of the biggest of Indian cities. Okay, this is the meaning of the sentence. This is the sentence given, and we have to change the biggest term. Biggest, we'll change it to a comparative degree, bigger. So let's read the example. Chennai is bigger than most other Indian cities. So it is not the biggest Indian city, but one of the biggest Indian cities. But there are other cities that are smaller than Chennai. So Chennai is bigger than most other Indian cities. Here we have changed the term biggest into bigger, but the meaning of the sentence hasn't changed. And using a positive degree, very few Indian cities are as big as Chennai, which gives the same meaning. But here, the adjective used is big. That is the positive degree of comparison. So, very few Indian cities are as big as Chennai, which means that Chennai is one of the biggest of Indian cities. The meaning is not changed, but yet the sentence pattern has changed using the different degrees of comparison. So, these are the things you'll have to understand while discussing the topic transformation of sentences. So that's all we'll be going to discuss in today's class. So thank you for your time.